Welcome to FAFSA Ready, Set, Go Live, where we help you unlock financial aid to support your college dreams. My name is Katisha Tony, and I am the president and CEO of Coats Inc. Over the course of our FAFSA series, we have had several experts and discussed the importance of completing the FAFSA and understanding the different components of financial aid, such as scholarships, loans, grants, and work study. We have also had experts talk about Indiana-specific scholarship programs, such as 21st Century Scholars and the Groups program at IUN and IU Bloomington. We have had a very special live FAFSA session, all in Spanish for our bilingual viewers. So we've really done a lot. Last week, we jumped back into our FAFSA series on the topic of completing the FAFSA application. We heard from one of our returning experts, Ms. Tanika House, who's the Associate Director of Financial Aid at Purdue University Northwest. She discussed some of the common questions when completing the application, understanding some of the FAFSA processing delays, and really encouraged students to be patient during this time. During this session, we're going to go through the 24-25 FAFSA. I'll be sharing some insights on what to expect in each session that you'll have to complete. And if you've been following the series, you and your contributors should have completed your FSA ID already so that your identity is verified and you all have gathered all documents such as tax information, bank information, and at least one school that you would like to submit financial information for. Actually, I would love it if you had at least 3 schools to submit information for. There are 2 ways to complete your FAFSA, and that is online at FAFSA.gov or filling out the written application that you'll have to actually mail in. Please note that you have to print that out and mail the FAFSA PDF for processing. I would say this process will take you a lot longer. So I would personally have you prioritize online completion if you can, because it's going to be a lot smoother and a lot easier than having to submit the FAFSA and having to go through that process. But if you don't have an online access process and a process to do that, you can definitely go ahead and do the paper application as well. So today we are going to briefly discuss the components within the FAFSA. So the first portion of that is like starting your FAFSA. So making sure that you have everything you need for that. When you get into that FAFSA, it's going to be a place where you're going to enter your username and password. This is mainly created from your FSA ID. Then you're going to make sure that you select the role, being a student or a parent. And if you can see, I'm going to walk you through this process online so you can see exactly what you'll see when you complete the application. Then I'm going to ask you to verify your details. So making sure that you put the correct name, date of birth, your social security number, email address, and phone number, and update that if needed. Then you're going to have to go through that process of identifying legal residence information. And then you're going to have to consent and approve to utilization of that information gathered in the application. So just approving that all of this information is correct. Then you're going to move into the next session about your personal circumstances, which helps to determine your dependency status. So they're going to get into like that second portion where it talks about the student personal circumstances. This determines your dependency status. So they're going to ask you a couple questions surrounding the following information. So they're going to ask you your marital status and your grade level. So making sure if you're putting your single, married, or anything like that. You're going to talk about your personal circumstances, such as military service, or if you have any dependents. If you are unaccompanied or either homeless or self-supporting or at risk of being homeless on or after July 2023, there's also going to be some pieces of information that you need to make sure you're looking at as well. And based on your answers, you may be identified as either a dependent student or an independent student, or provisionally independent student, which in some cases may require you to invite a contributor. And also when I say contributor, just know I'm always talking about either a parent or a guardian. You will need to have the names, date of birth, social security number, email addresses of any identified contributors if necessary. So if you are a high school student, you're most likely going to be using your parent or any of the guardians that you live with. Then you're going to move on to that next section that captures a look at your financials to determine your financial need to pay for school. So again, this is a really important piece because making sure you have the accurate financial information is going to be what you need in order to make sure you have an accurate financial package at the end. So completing this section, again, determines your federal student aid eligibility. It's going to ask you to provide consent and approval from the earlier section. And then you're going to need your 2022 federal tax information. It'll be automatically transferred from the IRS into your form as long as you complete information that they asked you before. They'll ask additional questions surrounding the amount of taxable college grants, scholarships, or AmeriCorps benefits reported as income on your IRS or on the 2022 tax return. They're also going to ask you about foreign earned income excluded on your 2022 tax return. And then they'll also ask you to report dollar amounts of assets through a series of questions related to the amount of cash you have, the same amounts you have in your checking and in your savings account. So they want to know a detail of all of your information. They're going to ask you about your net worth of any of your businesses or investment farms that you may have. If this is, again, these are optional. So they're going to ask you a lot of questions that are tied into a wide variety of financial information. So if this doesn't apply to you, it's okay to just skip that part or put in 0. Independent students may have additional questions in regards to child support, income, or any federal programs that you or your family members may participate in. And then we're going to move into the next section. So then it'll be time for you to select the schools that you would like to receive your financial aid information from, so that they can develop a financial package. So the schools will now determine like a financial package. You'll add in all the schools that you're thinking about, whether you have applied, whether you've been accepted, or even considering a school in the future. You can add up to 20 schools, and you'll easily be able to either complete a school code search or search by a state, or find your schools that you're interested in. So again, you can just kind of type some parts of the university's name in, or you can, again, use their code. And I'll also say too, is when you're thinking about those schools, going back to like those ones you have applied to, even if there are some that you're just thinking about, it's good for you to put those in there as well, because once you submit this FAFSA, it'll take a little while for you to actually go back in and make changes. So making sure that you put in all the ones that you're just considering as a school will be good too. And so then you review that list and remember that you can add and remove schools as you need. Again, you can't go over 20, but just making sure that you think about those schools that you're interested in. Then you're going to move on to the next and final section so that you can review, sign, and submit your FAFSA. There's a page where you're able to review all of your responses to each section. So make sure, I know that Mrs. House last week talked about how some people were making a lot of errors and things like that. So making sure that you take some time to look over all of your responses, make sure your name is right, make sure your address is correct, make sure all of that information that you put in is correct, because you don't want to have to redo that again. You can make edits to the sections by clicking on the hyperlink for that section. And after you have reviewed and made your edits, you can now continue to the signature page. You review the terms and the conditions of the FAFSA. And if you are an independent student with no contributors, then you're all done. If you are a dependent student, you're going to need the signature of contributors to have your FAFSA to be considered complete. And again, contributor is most times parents. If not, it's going to be that guardian who pretty much files you on their taxes. If you are considered complete, you'll receive a confirmation email that includes an estimated student aid index and a confirmation number. If you are a dependent student who has to wait on a contributor to sign, the contributor will need to follow the steps in the email to complete their portion of the FAFSA. And once the contributor has completed their portion, the contributor will receive an abbreviated confirmation page, and then the student will be able to receive a confirmation email. After submission is complete, and you're able to track and manage your FAFSA form in your studentaid.gov account dashboard. Again, it's really important to make sure that if you are a dependent, that you and your contributor has completed that information, because even if you get a confirmation, your contributor has to get a confirmation as well, just to make sure that you are going to be able to get your full financial package. Again, it's not complete until both of you all have completed that. I know I said a lot of things. Again, this FAFSA completion, it takes a really long time. I mean, it doesn't take a really long time, but they're going to ask you a lot of difficult questions. Just making sure you have everything that you need there. It can be really quickly if you have your FSA ID done by yourself and your contributor, just to make the process a lot smoother. Hopefully, to those of you who have not yet completed the FAFSA for 24-25 school year, this kind of gives you really a general overview of information that you'll need to know or have available. Again, most of you all who are seniors this year, making sure that you are ready and prepared to go once FAFSA opens for this upcoming year. So I just wanted to kind of give you all a quick overview of what that'll look like. Now I'll just leave it open to some questions that may be very common for most students and parents who are completing the FAFSA.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Hopefully. I have a question. I know that as I was working with a few students a couple of weeks ago, they did not understand what was the significance of the 2022, having the 2022 tax income information. So I would just want to know, like, why do students have to submit the 2022 tax and income information on the 2024-2025 FAFSA form?
I get that question a lot. I want to say that it's really advantageous for most students and their families because it helps to eliminate estimating income and tax information before taxes are filed for 2023. It's really all about like the tax deadlines. It reduces the need to come back and update the FAFSA form after filing taxes, and it also enables submitting a FAFSA form before attending school. If you and your family's 2022 tax and income information is no longer reflects your current financial situation, you can submit a completed FAFSA form as instructed, and then speak with the financial aid office at your college or career school after your FAFSA form has been submitted. And then you might be eligible to make an adjustment. But again, I think it's the biggest thing is that you're kind of submitting that FAFSA kind of backlogging it based off of the 2023 taxes that usually you have to have filed.
Okay. Another common question is, what happens if my parents' marital status has changed?
Very good question as well. The FAFSA form asks for marital status as of today, the day that it's filled out. So if the student or parent is married now but wasn't in 2022, and therefore they didn't fill out the taxes as married, the spouse's 2022 income will need to be added to the FAFSA form. And similarly, if the student or parent filed the 2022 taxes as married but is no longer married, when filling out the FAFSA form, the spouse's income will need to be subtracted. And if the student or a parent was married when filing 2022 taxes, then got divorced and is now married to someone else, the spouse will need to report their own income as a contributor. I would also make sure, I know I said a mouthful right now, so there's a lot of like stipulations within this piece of marital status is changing. I would also go back to that studentaid.gov website and look at that question in particular, but it is a lot of different nuances around the marital status piece. So rule of thumb is always go back to studentaid.gov to double check and make sure as well.
Okay. And then my very last question is, who is my parent on my FAFSA?
Okay, so if your parents are married, not separated, both of your parents' information must be included on the FAFSA form, regardless of whether your parents are of the same or opposite sex. If your parents didn't file taxes jointly, then both of your parents are contributors. If your parents filed taxes jointly, only one parent is required to be a contributor and will report information for both parents. Another stipulation, if your parents are not married to each other and live together, both of your parents are contributors and their information must be included on the FAFSA form, regardless of whether your parents are of the same or opposite sex as well. Another couple of instances is if your parents are divorced, separated, or never married and don't live together, the parent who provided more financial support during the last 12 months is the contributor and must provide their information. If both parents provided an equal amount of financial support, or if they don't support you financially, the parent with the greater income and assets is the contributor and must provide their information. And then if your parent is widowed, the parent is the contributor and must provide their information. So again, a lot of different nuances. Going to studentaid.gov is going to be the best place for you to go to get that more detailed information. But I always say rule of thumb is normally the parent who has more income and is taking care of you the most or filing you on the taxes is also a good rule of thumb to follow as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. And so again, I know this was a lot of detail, a lot of screenshots, a lot of walking you through some things, but just making sure that you think about and gather as much information as possible and making sure that you don't have as least errors as possible when you're filling out the FAFSA, because that's going to be the place where you don't want to get any errors, because then you're going to have to go back and it's going to take you a little bit longer to complete that FAFSA. And also noting that December is going to be when they're going to plan to open the FAFSA again this time. So it's going to be a little bit of a delay again. So making sure you get your FSA IDs done a little bit early on, and also making sure you're more prepared for yourself and your contributors to complete that FAFSA is going to be the best thing that you can do to be prepared. So again, thank you for watching our live today. Next week, we'll walk through what happens after you submit your FAFSA. So stay tuned. Remember, we'll do a live session every Tuesday during the month of September at 12:30. We also have one-on-one sessions available for anyone needing direct FAFSA support. We have bilingual support on some of those days as well. All you have to do is go to our website at www.codesinc.org and find our FAFSA page and schedule a one-on-one time with us. The page is also full of FAFSA resources and details that we are updating all the time. So share our page, share our resources, and follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you all, and see you next week on FAFSA Ready, Set, Go Live, where we spend Tuesday talking to experts on all things FAFSA and financial aid. Thank you, guys.